Yeah.
My favorite part of this comic was when Xavier reached out to LeBron and gave him the telepathic powers to beat Jordan. And then Magneto reached out to Jordan and actually gave Jordan his metal helmet so that LeBron couldn't use his powers in their 1v1.
I
That
thought you
was
were going to
cool.
say he gave Jordan his magnetic powers, so when he jumped, he could always get to the rim.
And he would never have to drop the ball.
It is funny, like
Smacked
one of them
himself to
is
it.
like he gets psionic powers to mentally like mind crush his opponent, and the other one can do something he can already do, which is jump to the rim. Like only be impressive if it's a bunch of white guys talking about like, yeah, and every time he jumps, he gets to the rim. It's like, no, that's his job. Like that's
He was doing that before.
yeah, he was
famously had like a 45-inch vertical jump.
he was well equipped to be able to consistently get to the rim.
So another one of my favorites was when Forge created the portal to the Minecraft world, and all of the X-Men went inside. It was really cool that Magneto's powers translated, and I really like the part where he's sucking the iron out of the ground, and then he's mining, and he finds diamond, but it turns out it's just Emma Frost in diamond form.
And then
That was pretty
zombies,
awesome.
Remember?
Yeah, the zombies pop up, but it turns out it's actually a Technarch coming to, scope the Earth.
Ender mold.
You remember when they did in the redacted issue where they showed Professor X and Magneto's penises in the same panels, and later they had to darken it out because it was
And they're
Yeah.
they're prehensile.
yeah.
They're sort of hedgehogian, where they've got like the four quills. Yeah, dude, and that's what's crazy. Do you remember when they also went to the back rooms and saw Freddy Fazbear?
That was
That was
wild.
sweet. I remember that.
It was pretty cool
Loved that part.
when Magneto says, "Be wary, Fazbear. There is no universe where Magneto yields." And Fazbear then,
Does his thing. Yeah, as we all know what he does. he goes, woo!
Isn't Freddy Fazbear made of metal though?
Yeah, that's the tough
that's
part for him.
that's
Yeah.
why he's like threatening him. And it's funny because Charles got really scared because he can't use his telepathy on them. And Magneto said, "Looks like I have the upper hand, old friend."
That's no trip. That's what's crazy. After that, then Poppy Playtime comes in.
Oh, okay.
You remember when instead of the mother mold's head in the middle, it was a skibbity toilet?
That was cool.
That was
That
hilarious.
that was an alternative cover.
That was a great nod to the
Guys, we have Ego the Living Planet, played by
Ego
Kurt
the Living
Russell.
Planet would be good. And
We
you
have
could
Kurt
use-
We actually have
We've-
Krakoa here.
We have Kurt Russell,
Krakoa
Ego
has
the Living
joined- yes,
Planet.
Yeah,
Kurt-
you could be the
Krakoa.
avatar of
We have Kurt
Krakoa,
Koa.
the tree guy who looks like Groot.
All right, this is Groot.
this is great.
No, Krakoa.
Krakoa. Yeah, I think my favorite part of this was when Cyclops went vegan. And then everyone else was like, well, did you know that being vegan doesn't necessarily reduce your carbon footprint if you're buying things that are shipped in? So then Cyclops...
blasted him.
And he blasted him. But then after reflection, Cyclops becomes an urban farmer.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was kind of cool.
Do you guys? I
like the part where they just fucking killed Sabretooth. Just mercilessly.
well, like worse than kill. Like send him to like eternal damage.
there are way worse people than Sabretooth on Krakoa.
I like
Yeah.
the part.
And some of them are
One
on
of
the
them
council.
are at the table. Yeah.
Sebastian Shaw.
Well, he has
Dude,
this...
the leader of the Black Black Table, Black
Or
Market.
no, he's the leader of that one, the BDSM club.
No.
the Hellfire Gala.
No, I
Yes,
thought that,
the Hell-
no,
yeah,
not the
Hellfire
British
Gala.
guy. Not
Yeah.
the British
The guy
looking
with
He's
the
like,
fancy
oh, I
hat.
love owning property.
Oh, that's Sebastian Shaw. He's the leader of the
the other guy, the weird looking guy.
Mr. Sinister,
No, the other one.
Apocalypse.
No, there was the guy.
God damn, man.
Mr. Sinister
Oh,
and Sebastian Shaw when they were walking out.
Jack answered it. He texted back.
Oh, Exile.
Who is Exile?
So Exile is a guy from the Crusades who basically was like, it's linked to, like, my mutation is linked to Jesus, and Jesus wanted only mutants to be there. So he's like a mutant purist, but like through the lens of like biblical scripture.
He's really fun.
Anti-Semite.
He's probably
Probably
I'd say like if you put him in a room, like he wouldn't like express those views, but like if you pushed him on it, he would.
He was in the
probably-
Crusades.
He's probably a pro-Israel anti-Semite, where
Yeah.
he's like, look, I mean, the thing is, the Jews got to have Israel, and it's because they're this mastermind people, but we'll get them back. Come into the world.
There is something very Anyways, welcome to Dude, Where's My Comic? This week we read House of X and Powers of X, correct?
A whopping 12
I
issues.
only read House of X.
That's fine.
That's all right.
Weren't we just reading House of X?
The
Did I do it?
How do you always do this?
again?
I will say they are two almost completely different stories, so
Yeah.
it's not like you're really missing out on much.
Dear listener, I've done it again.
He's done it again.
It
So
needs to be a sound
House of X.
squelch
Before we get into it,
of a shit, shitting yourself.
Read the wrong thing again.
All right, that's
we-
good. I'm in. Never mind. That's awesome.
before we get into it too far, my name's Wyatt, and I Team Krakoa. You know,
My name's Jack, and I'm a guy who just wants to grill. You know, that's the whole that's the whole thing about mutants. Like there are sentinels coming down, hunting them down, but like, come on, why can't we all just get along?
why can't we all just?
My name's Jackson, and I once narrowly avoided the timeline where I ended up looking exactly like Professor X.
You had to die in order to resurrect yourself.
Yeah, I did a Moira McTaggart
Yeah, she
thing
came up to me and was.
where I had to figure out what it was that was making me lose my hair and cut that out of my.
Years old was looking at himself in the mirror saying, I know what's coming.
I know what's
I have
coming.
To stop it.
Jack, are you ready for soccer practice? Oh my god!
I need to. Somebody's offering me my first drink when I'm 16. I'm like, I got to start treating my body right. I've seen this dark future.
He does nothing wrong to you.
And
Yeah.
here,
It just makes you
That's
funnier.
empirically incorrect.
jumping in on the side of alcohol is our guest, the Avatar of Krakoa.
I changed my mind.
Who is he?
I'm Blando Calrissian.
We got Blando Calrissian with me.
Lamest.
And
Tripuba
dear
always
listener,
wins.
I'm Trip. I'm an unmasked masked wrestler.
Damn, that's sad. That's the saddest thing.
Wow, is this the bottom of? Is this your belly of the whale arc?
Yeah,
Where they've stripped your mask from you.
I'm in the journey to the underworld part of the hero's journey.
So,
Right on. And that says a lot about what we do here and how we feel about how things are going.
But how about fascism, guys?
How about some
it's
introduction?
here. I
That
mean,
makes it look good.
it's
Yes.
been here.
Another time, another comic book that is kind of like, hey, what if fascism was good this time?
Yeah,
Introduce us, Wyatt.
yeah. Do we want to do about the House of X?
Yeah,
Our regular.
both of
Yeah,
them.
so-
I know they're supposed to be read, dear listeners, intertwined. So you're supposed to read like Powers House 1, and then you're supposed to read Powers House 2, and that's how like initially they were supposed to like. And those were all things that we probably should have said before.
I just read. I got that House of X book, and I just read it cover to cover.
Is this probably, if you got the
Okay.
Kindle thing, you read it in order, but that was like House 1, Powers 1. And it is confusing.
Yeah.
No.
I didn't. This is the X-Men comic that I felt wasn't confusing.
But it's because you didn't read it how it was supposed to be read. That's
because I made a mistake and it made more sense.
Yeah, that's
you
how
left out things that would have been confusing.
Yeah.
Did you not?
Jonathan Hickman is just known to make things confusing. Like
Yeah.
there's a clean way to tell the story, and sometimes he'll just choose the confusing way.
It's funny you say that because I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah.
He was dragging this stuff out. Everything. So I only read the 6 comics that were in the House of X. That could have been 2 issues of comics.
Yeah, well, what if it was interspliced with something much more confusing? I think you would have felt calmed by those issues.
I think we should have read the Enigma comics.
Ooh,
and just
yeah.
absolutely confused ourselves.
We can.
We did see Mr. Sinister there, so
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what comes next.
And Mr. Sinister becomes 4 separate dominions.
Well,
course.
Moira
Love Mr.
McTaggart
Sinister's
machine.
character, by the way.
I do. He's a very fun villain. He is. For someone that is as simple of a villain, he's pretty fun.
You mean his name? Mr.
Yeah.
yeah.
Sinister?
I like.
And also,
I think he's up to no good.
True.
I, don't know, I trust him.
I feel
So
like
But
about
he's
it.
still.
of
We're
these-
still putting him on the whole mutant geneticist
so
team.
before we get too deep in,
He's the main genetics guy.
Yeah.
Because you can trust him.
you can trust.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can't trust him, but like,
Don't worry,
he's
he's-
good at what he does.
He's on a good council. His fellow council member is named Apocalypse.
Yeah.
So
An exile.
Mr.
Yeah.
His name is ironic, guys. He's a good dude.
Mr. Sinister is like big Werner von Braun vibes, We're like, yeah,
Worse.
He's always way worse than Werner von Braun. Though you could argue Werner von Braun did create the technology that allowed for intercontinental ballistic missiles to exist.
he's more of a Mengele.
That's a
Yeah.
great. That's a great invention.
Yeah.
Do you think that like if Captain America and Apocalypse were in the same room, they would get confused because they both have A's on their outfit.
No.
That would be very
Yeah.
funny.
It'd be
Very
hilarious.
similar.
It'd be like, that A is for Apocalypse, right? He's like, no, for America. And then they'd say, oh, okay.
Where does Apocalypse come from?
Egypt.
He's like an ancient Egyptian mutant.
He's
right?
external, Trip.
Well, he's
He's an alien.
He does actually say in between that they talk about like pure blood mutant. He's external, which means that he's basically immortal and has been around forever. He mentions that he's been around since before the creation of machines, which is wild. I mean, that's pre-wheel, right?
Does he
Yeah,
think
I was
wheel?
going to
Does
say
he-
a machine is a very simple device.
He's like
it could just be a lever. The first time someone used a lever to move something,
I think
he goes even further to say he's been around since before the idea of machines. Which is wild.
You know,
Yeah.
I will say that's like about equally as impressive to me, because then it's like the first guy who thought of it probably just did it, right? The first guy who thought of a wheel probably was like, let's try this out.
Yeah.
and then he turned around and Apocalypse was behind him. Like, I knew he would do this.
So we should probably hit a quick recap. Last week we read, God, what was it called? The New X-Men.
New X-Men.
The New X-Men introduces Cassandra Nova and the concept of the Genosian genocide. Genosha is an island nation full of mutants, and the Sentinels were sent there and they wiped it out.
Rightfully.
No. We pro-mutant in this house.
Not even a
Just anti-genocide.
not even like this was two sides of a conflict. Like one of the sides of the conflict was just
Wasn't aware.
was like also just like a petty sister being like, this will probably get to him. Like that's
Yeah.
sister. It was idea of a sister. There's a little thing that comics love to do. It's called retconning. And at a certain point, they were like, what if instead of the new X-Men, what if instead of Cassandra Nova doing it, what if it was the Scarlet Witch thinking away all of the mutants? And someone was like,
Yeah.
oh, well, yeah, that's a great idea. So instead of the Sentinels, they were like, well, it was actually Scarlet Witch. And then Scarlet Witch re-retcons to the mutants existing again. And then the Sentinels commit the Genosian genocide.
She's not.
was it that like a retcon of that, or was that just like the Scarlet Witch like really kicking them while they were down? Like was that like her just being like no more mutants and then like getting rid of more of them and then she brought them all back?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's it. The Genosian genocide happens, and then she does like another genocide, basically, where she wipes out the remaining mutants.
There's 100 mutants after she gets done with her whole shindig.
The problem with that is that like the internal logic of the world, no matter what the reader wants, just has to fall within the whims of that character.
Yep.
Like it's like anything that exists because she wants it to exist that way.
Also, more than
Yeah,
that,
how much that sucks to read.
But still, they send Wolverine into space to fight the Mother Mold.
Yeah, dude, that was sweet.
Her wish it out of existence. Like
She's not around. She's depowered.
she was on
no, she's
vacation.
in the comic.
She's depowered.
No, she's on
How do they
vacation.
depower her? She can just wish her fucking powers back.
She's been living with a Shi'ar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. That's so.
she's in a coma.
All right. So
She has amnesia.
Grant Morrison introduces a lot of good ideas for the X-Men canon, and I think that you can make the same argument that Hickman does some of that. The difference is Hickman is building in a post-Genosian world. Waypost. And he introduces this concept which existed in X-Men, but he really expands on this idea of Krakoa. Krakoa is like Genosha, but instead of Genosha just being like Genosha is just an island in the world, Krakoa is like this mobile island.
Krakoa is a literal mutant.
It's a literal mutant that is an island nation. Krakoa is a thing where like it can exist in multiple places. You can create avatar. You can create gates of
that's right.
Krakoa and teleport to places. It basically, I think Jonathan Hickman was like, well, Genosha is kind of boring for a mutant nation. Why are they just living on an island? Wouldn't they have some dank technology and dank mutant stuff? So Krakoa is this thing that only mutants can access. Humans can get there with the help of a mutant, but it creates a language that only mutants can understand. It creates...
Stop you right there.
Yeah.
One thing that bothered me was the letter for letter language diagram that they had. Like, I mean, that's like the worst kind of like. this symbol is A. This symbol.
Yeah, like, are you telling me this is just a...
And then they just spell things out like apple, and then it's just like, yeah, but you like say it a little differently.
You guys, they give
Apple,
they,
but it's
they give all the mutants they give all the mutants a decoder ring when they get there.
Yeah. Also, like,
Eat your
And they had, like-
Ovaltine.
Ovaltine.
And they were...
Why is every room drink your Ovaltine room?
They had, like, the thing is, they were like, this is the mutant that can speak any language. And it took him, like, 9 years to decode it.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, it's a language. It's, we'll just do, letters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made it that
The
simple.
symbol is A.
And then they were like, wait, what?
wrap your head around that.
so, yeah.
Just like a language
Of ideas.
about what their language is.
Just to make this clear, Trip, every language is a language of ideas.
Everything is a thing of ideas.
Yeah. Well, you're getting into metaphysics here. Is it the material or is it the idea that matters? You know? And you know what I say? Fuck that. Neither of them matter because we're talking comics.
Get out of
That's
here.
true.
You
Yeah.
fucking
So,
philosopher.
what exactly do these comics entail?
You know how Xavier is always like, I'm the good guy who will take moral stance. I'm always going to be doing the right thing because that's how we create harmony. We create a world that's better for all.
I was based on Martin Luther King. I'm a good man.
Yeah. This iteration of Charles Xavier is basically a very morally gray, might makes right fellow who teams up with Magneto and Apocalypse and Sinister to create legitimate national power for mutants. So the point of the language, Magneto says it. He's like, no people exist without a culture, and culture doesn't exist without a language. So they're doing legit mutant nation building, which I'll be honest was kind of played out by Genosha. But they
already have a language that works really well.
English.
I will say,
Or I will just say that, like, for this comic, a lot of the ideas may have been done before. This comic really runs on the rule of cool. There are a lot of things in it that are, on paper, what we say will sound really silly. But when you see it drawn by Jonathan Hickman and the
It's pretty-
diagrams he creates, it's pretty cool.
John Hickman drew it and wrote it.
no, but the artist
it.
on this, he kind of like created the template for all of the comics that like came from this era. So like there was a cohesive design aesthetic amongst like all X-Men
I
comics.
loved
which-
the art.
Yeah, the art was so
The art
good.
was excellent.
And I will
Palette
add
was
into
really
this.
strong.
What was the?
Why was everyone so gay?
Dude,
That's
just-
awesome.
Not all of
I
them.
mean,
Why
that's
wouldn't
the
they?
That's the
X-Men, right?
X-Men, man.
That was
I mean,
I'm not
best part
judging.
about the new X-Men
I mean,
was they were already
gay, not gay, I don't care.
This is filmed right before Pride Month got
But
over, so we had to
Professor
get
Xavier vamped in every panel.
Yeah,
he was
rocks.
like, "Come to me, my X-Men."
Yeah, it was like he was just stood like this.
Yeah. And Magneto was he was ripped.
I know
Yeah.
it's like he's in his 60s too.
Yeah, it's like
he's a gray hair.
Yeah, I love that.
that's the fucking legacy of Grant Morrison, is that I think the sexy new X-Men was something that was, I think we talked about it a lot last time. It's pretty awesome. And I think that they were like, yeah, let's just keep that. Let's make all the X-Men hot. But also, I'll say one thing Jonathan Hickman does that Grant Morrison does, just kind of a cop-out. He doesn't bring in any characters like Beak, you know?
Or horrible looking.
Like, Grant Morrison at least is like, being
is a beautiful place.
Yeah. Grant
Yeah.
Morrison is like, maybe it's not awesome for every person that has a mutant power. This one's like, oh no, being a mutant is to be a ripped, mogging god.
Yeah.
And that's what our nation should be based on. Ripped, mogging godhood and just like subjugating other nations using the advanced powers that we possess.
Why was
Boggy.
Xavier so smirky the whole time?
Oh, dude.
Am I the only one?
Oh,
who
he's
was like-
smirking all the time.
All
Yeah.
he did was smirk.
I think it's intentional. I think it's a. I think
It's like he's planning something wicked.
Oh,
He-
I,
he
he
is.
did- I mean, I think it's.
Okay.
I think it's literally a visual signifier to say like this is not the Xavier that you're used to. Normal Xavier is like cold, and when he smiles, it's very kind. You
He
know,
looked like the Slender Man
he did.
with that
Yeah.
stupid hat on the whole time.
I think that I honestly think that like the point of it is to show that like this guy is not the morally. This is not a moral paragon.
I actually think it's because he was like, he finally knew how to equalize with Magneto. And he was like, the one thing you've always had that I've never had, a pretty sweet helmet.
Yeah.
pretty sweet helmet, and also I think the fact that he like gets up every day and wears like
And walks.
and like a
Walks around.
spandex like
Spandex
black suit.
bodysuit.
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
that's awesome. That's all that he
Do you
currently.
And,
think
like,
he's
with-
sweaty under there?
When Magneto
for
looked
sure.
at him
It's latex.
for the first time,
yeah,
it was
no,
like,
the head thing.
that's a pretty cool helmet.
Do you think it has
Pretty
an air
tight
conditioner
pants.
unit in there?
tighter than yours.
There's
Fan?
no way the Cerebra helmet has an air conditioner.
Is that a
Also,
fan?
No way.
No
also
way.
Krakoa
Sweating
looks
up a
like.
storm. Do you think Krakoa's air conditioned?
Oh no, it's probably
bet
like
it's
a big
naturally,
like
like,
jungle, like
yeah,
humid
it's
So it's like
environment.
90
Dude,
degrees
no,
and muggy
it's a
and
mute-
Yeah.
It looked
Probably, like,
muggy and terrible.
No,
I
it
I
wouldn't
bet
wanna
it's
live
68
there.
degrees.
No,
I bet.
No,
I bet it's
it was
muggy.
a jungle.
You're going to tell me that it can't decide that it's 68 degrees, but it can create, interspace portals?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
That's stupid.
No,
it
'cause
was
he
a
can
ju-
create
Yeah,
inter-
I didn't make the rule.
No, but that's like saying like, all right, you can make interspace portals, but like you don't have like control over your own like body heat. Like if a bunch of people were just living on your chest hair, it would just be like I'm sorry,
It would be dead.
You're getting what I'm you're getting what I'm getting. Like that's all I've got. I've got
You're telling me Krakoa's homeostasis temperature is like 68 degrees.
I bet that it can, make its temperature on the outside amenable to its inhabitants.
Is that its like secondary mutation?
I mean,
Internal air
I don't know what. It seems to have.
Stone gets to turn to diamond, and Krakoa's like, I'm pretty comfortable.
How about the only part that has air conditioning is under his pits, so it still smells terrible. But
Nice.
but
They
you have to
never-
go in there in order to cool down.
I think Krakoa, just based on the vibes I get, I think it's at coldest 80 degrees.
Yeah.
That place is muggy, and I think
jungle.
and also I think the heat. But I think the heat is supposed to represent the wild and rampant growth that like mutants are all about, right? It's all about like life and evolution doing its own thing.
I bet there are
you know?
bugs too.
Oh.
A lot of bugs.
A lot of mutant bugs.
Yeah.
I mean there are. That's what the fucking well, I guess they're flowers. Never mind.
There isn't there a mutant that like vomits acid?
Yeah, I mean there are a couple.
She's like the
Toad.
fly,
Isn't
right?
Are you thinking about that Jeff Goldblum movie?
The fly.
No, he was the Fly.
That was the fly.
You-
No. There's
That
a
was a
mutant
part of
has,
that
like,
was
fly
about
wings and she
mutation?
vomits acid.
No. Yeah, he becomes that later. That movie that is not related to the MCU.
Okay, my
that's
bad.
a Cronenberg movie.
I,
The
just
Crone
know-
CU.
The
The
Crone-
CCU.
The KCU.
I will say
It's with a
it's
C. Cronen.
it's a little
C?
confusing because that was Fox, but that was I think the X-Men universe. So like I can see why you think, but it's not related to the MCU proper. It's sort of like a Blade.
The grapes elude me once again.
Where are the grapes?
The sour.
It must be sour up
so
there.
sour, I can see them.
Yeah.
But I think what I like in establishing this new Krakoan like embassy, we kind of see like there's a retcon like you talked about before with a long-standing X-Men supporting cast member named Moira McTaggart, who was originally thought just to be like a cool person to mutants.
Yeah, she was a scientist.
Yeah, but
Scotland.
But then we find out that she, when she dies, she gets reincarnated at the time of her birth.
9 to
That's-
10 lives.
and
And
that's
then
her.
she killed all the Trasks.
I do like that. What's her face? Mysterium woman.
Mystique?
No, like
No.
her
Destiny.
Destiny.
Destiny,
Yeah.
yeah.
She was like, looking at her, and she's like, "And I think you've got like 10 of these."
Yeah, I remember
I'm
that.
pretty sure. Like you reincarnate every time. I can see that.
It's also just like never explained like how she's like, no, some of us can still see what's going on.
Well, it was honestly, it's a little unclear. I think
It is very unclear.
but I think
because
the-
she lived like 3,000 years a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
does she just live forever?
well, I think
Right. Doesn't age, is that part of the thing?
I think
Or-
it was no.
when she
because
teams up with
she can-
Apocalypse.
when she
Destiny can see the future, isn't that her thing?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Moira's there.
No, Moira.
Moira,
Oh,
Moira.
Moira.
I think when she was living 3,000 years, that was back when like humans were like being kept as pets for like machines and stuff. So they were probably keeping us alive.
Yeah.
It's not addressed very
and
clearly.
also like when she teams up with Apocalypse, when you team up with Apocalypse, you just if he makes you one of his like horsemen, you basically get immortality.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So like yeah, so
No dental though.
so
That's the worst part.
so when you're first
So
introduced
expensive.
Moira McTaggart is integral to this story because
Yeah,
for-
she's the key.
she's the key concept, and I think
She's a funnier character than we've ever had before.
she's a
If
funnier.
we can get her
char-
working.
Yeah. Oh man, you got to pop up Jar Jar at that moment.
Moira McTaggart. It's like poetry. It
It rhymes. Yeah.
10 rhymes 10 times.
So what's cool is the first issue with Moira. It does a little retrospective of the eras of the X-Men that she's lived through. So she shows us the Silver Age X-Men, the 80s X-Men, New Age, and then the Lost Decade, which is like after New Age, which they're like, I don't know what Lost Decade is when Scarlet Witch wipes everyone out.
Yeah.
And then it goes through a lot of the storylines that we're familiar with, like the creation of Genosha, the Genosian genocide, and she lives through them. And every time she goes back, she tries something different. She teams up with Charles, doesn't work. She creates the cure. It doesn't. The mutants show up and they're like, "Hey, they're just going to use this to wipe us out." Which, like, obviously, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
She's like, that was the plan.
Right. I mean, as smart as she is, she was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And like,
Well, I just think
they
at
say
that
like
point,
wipe
she's-
us out, but the cure is not going to kill them.
Yeah, I think her point at that point, she's like, I just hate fucking being a mutant, right?
Yeah.
She's like, this cure is for me. And then Destiny shows up and is like, well, I'm going to kill you if you do this. Also, I've put a hard cap on your powers, so you're not stuck with infinity. You're stuck with a couple hundred years. So at that point, she's like, I can save the mutants. So she teams up with Charles. Charles's way fails. She teams up with Magneto, and one of my favorite panels, once he finds out that like the Sentinels are coming and Nimrod's coming and they're going to destroy all life, Magneto just tries to nuke the White House. Like there's a scene of him just bringing nukes down on the Capitol, and then all of Earth's heroes team up against him. It's so fucking Magneto, right? The second he's like, well, this is going to happen, we just got to... It's literally what he was trying to do before, kill the government. He's
It's
like...
old Magneto evilness. you
Yeah,
know?
he's like, well...
Peace through strength.
Yeah. And then she's like, well, these guys suck. So she teams up with Apocalypse. Believe it or not, Apocalypse cares a little bit more about being Apocalypse and doing his own shit than like the good of all. And so then she's like, what we need is for Charles and Magneto to team up.
What
and
if
that's
they
where
kissed?
We
Yeah.
also, you left out that almost every single timeline the Sentinels come back and kill everyone.
Yeah, you're right.
Also-
That's important. Every single
And by
time.
almost, it's every.
Every single
Also,
single time.
and more importantly, the second time that she lived, she got in a plane accident, and that's
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's the fact that
absolute nonsense.
there's a bunch of things where she makes a heroic last stand
Like
at the
died
edge
of
of humanity,
dysentery.
where Wolverine has to kill her because it's like humanity is about to be wiped out by like all of these robots coalescing into a dominion. It's like, but then there's also times where like the guy was like, I think this wheel's a little squeaky, but it's probably good to land. And then he just explodes the plane.
I did leave that out, and that's pretty important. At one point, so the Sentinels show up all the time, and one of her timelines, she's like, well, I'm just going to kill the guy that makes the Sentinels. But they still come around, and she has this point where she's like, I figured out it's not an invention. AI is not an invention, it's a discovery. It's
Which
something...
I thought was very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that
It's like the steam engine being discovered in the right place at the right time by the right people.
right? Like,
Yeah.
it's...
And then she says like the AI would go on to refine itself, even if there were no tasks to put.
Yeah.
And what I love
forward.
about the idea of like an AI, like discovering AI, is the idea that it's almost like this eldritch like being, where it's like, oh, once you like discover and like allow AI to kind of just run amok and hone itself, you have a almost like unstoppable regardless of like where it was discovered, when it was discovered, it almost always ends the same. And so she's seeing that like play out in real time.
And it's cool because like I feel like X-Men are always like cool little like microcosms of their age. Like Chris Claremont had like German Nightcrawler, Russian Colossus, but they can still be friends to like mirror the Cold War. And this is like 21st century. Does anybody still have their job?
AI's bad.
AI's fucking coming.
It's definitely, yeah, it's like the fears in like how mutants are not those fears, where it's like, oh yeah,
But
the
are
Cold War.
persecuted anyway.
Yeah, like there's not like the Cold War is not I guess like represented by several mutants being the evil Russian ones. It's represented by Colossus being also a guy from Russia and being like, these problems are bigger than like the stuff that mutants are. And like what's interesting with the AI specifically is the fact that like, yeah, obviously, like it's gonna keep like it's kind of the overarching villain of this, but for the most part, it's what spurs them into making like Krakoa, and so you have this like, I guess, really cool uniting like thing coming out of this like really bad like super unjust thing. So.
I also like that every time AI is discovered, it's always evil. Like, no matter what came before, it's always like, it's going to become part of a technarch. It's the only way it works.
I mean, it's already on its way.
Well, yeah, but that's us. It's not like it's not like we found AI and it started like kings handing us like whispering fucking evil advice into our ears about how to make it stronger.
We are like making it.
We're not
more
Theoden King to its Grima. We made it.
We're like, hey, would you create a machine? We're making a machine, and we're like, well, what do you want us to do? We could do anything. They're like, well, how about mass propaganda and missile targeting?
Yeah, right.
And then we're like, all right, for some reason AI is bad.
Yeah, I know, right? That's what I like. But
I asked ChatGPT if any of this was going to come true, and it said no.
it would say that, wouldn't
Well,
it?
at first it said
It said absolutely not, but that was a very good question.
that's what I was gonna.
That's a very
Very
good question. And you're
innovative.
so smart. That's
Yeah.
why.
Thank
this
you
is
for
not-
asking that.
You're really
Yeah.
grappling with some of the philosophical questions of our age, and it's good that you would ask this question.
Yeah.
But also,
But it's not going to happen.
So
But it's
we're
a worry
fine.
that
And
you
then
should
it started
leave.
talking about white genocide in South Africa.
Yeah, then it started
Just
talking
like
about
rock.
the Rwandan genocide, and it was just like, I don't know. And then it started saying like, no, I was actually programmed to say that. I'm sorry. Elon Musk was just really mean to me.
That's my favorite AI moment of all time, aside from stepping over that guy in the finals.
Yeah,
That
that
was-
was good.
Tyrone Lue.
Tyrone Lue.
Or
yeah.
I like I'm AI with the braids, the video where it's that song, but it's just a dog. I'll show you guys. We'll interstice this real quick because
Yeah.
it'll be a good
of course.
introduction.
No, this will be playing right now.
So yeah, basically, I think that like this, I don't know. I'm veering into like unknown territory, but I think that like a good thing to discuss here is just the stark differences between this and basically every other comic that's about the X-Men. Because I think one of the things that like we've complained about with comics is that there is always a return to status quo. Characters are the same. Scott is always earnest. Charles is always good. And when they change, they just revert back.
Did you like it?
I liked. I think this look. I think this is like a great rule of cool comic that introduces a lot of cool things. I keep saying rule of cool, which is just to say there are concepts in this that, like, on paper are stupid. Like, they talk about galactic civilization and like the tiers of AI
Stupid, yeah.
with like you've got
10,000 AIs equals 1 mega AI.
It's a black hole.
you've got
This is the black hole of it.
4 dominions is one.
Black holes are clearly
and 10
Yeah.
10
this.
dominions is a
Yeah.
phalanx. And
You've got a technarch
Yeah.
and
So
then a
that's the sweet
phalanx and a dominion. But like the way that they
and there are 9
portray it-
technarchs in a dominion, but probably there are like 100.
Wait,
Yeah,
and
but-
how you know they're strong?
Galactus helmet.
They have a Galactus helmet.
yeah.
I thought you were gonna say because they beat up the thing.
Anything.
That's true. Wow, we're really gonna have to think outside the box for this one.
That guy just walloped Ben Grimm. Richard is like, "Don't worry, I've just created a time looping universe."
I
in a
still have the
bottle."
ultimate nullifier. We're gonna be fine.
I've
And
got
that-
my son to reset the universe.
Yeah. So I think that I'm of two minds about this. I think that this frankly hollows out Charles Xavier.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it basically takes a character that I think makes really good arguments about social change. And he says, you know what social change is predicated on? Amassing a military, power, creating a refuge, creating technological advance that
And-
creates such asymmetry that we can destroy everybody.
and
Like,
creating
I disagree.
a nation state, a single ethnicity of mutants.
yeah, right.
If you were
Single-
faced
single
with
species.
an extermination of the human species, and you had to shift your point of view about arms manufacturing or something. I thought it was an interesting take at that question.
That's why it's compelling. That's why I was going to say that's why I'm of two minds, because I think that like it hollows out his character, but at the
I don't
same
think it does. I think it fleshes it out.
I mean, I think it's for me. I think that like it's a very interesting way to take it. I think it's a little again. It's kind of like the end of Invincible, where it's just like is fascism. Maybe it's good if we have these strong people doing things in everybody's benefit, and we're making these morally gray compromises, which do end up hurting them. But I think the reason it's good is because, like, well, the other response, like the thing they're fighting against is human extinction,
yeah,
and mutant
mutant
extinction.
extinction, yeah.
I'm not as concerned with like the human extinction argument because
and
I think
robot extinction.
Well, because I think one of the arguments
robot
that
superiority.
Well, I think one of the arguments that like most fascists or authoritarians make is that like I'm here to avoid society collapsing.
I'm better.
right?
We're better than the other guy.
Or
Yeah.
We
but
need a
also-
strong guy in charge to protect you from the coming doom.
right? Like if I am not here, we as a people will go extinct. That's like the argument that fascists make. It just so happens that because this is a comic, that's
actually is
literally
real.
true.
I think
you know?
that's like the crux.
But I think that's like I don't love that. But I think it's so well written, the art's so good that I like it.
I feel like that's like one of the, I get tired of just, I feel like it's fun for the modern age, and the X-Men showed it this really well, where it was like, eventually the mutants got to say, like, enough is enough. Where, like, eventually people are like, Magneto was right. And I
Yeah.
appreciate the way this comic did it. Like, Magneto was like, guys, they turned on us when we weren't even mutants.
Yep.
I was just a guy who was Jewish. And they tried to kill, they killed
Yeah.
way more of us.
They'll kill
Wh-
anybody because they don't like you. They'll throw you under the bus if they find you to be.
But
a
that's
person.
what's good about the X-Men is it's saying these people on the fringe are dangerous.
I know, and my problem, but like I've seen 40 years of them just being like, we got to keep just showing us that
Yes.
we can work together.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly that. Yeah,
And I'm
I was
tired.
I was here for this. I was like, fuck the humans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the best part, and I was like, oh, all right, yeah.
I think
react.
the
Finally
fact
react.
too is like something where it's different for Xavier's character and him being like this guy who like consistently is shown that like his methods are kind of failing.
work, yeah.
It's like but it's something where
Kenosha.
it's like in real life those methods might work but they can't because comic books have to go to their status quo, so like they kind of have to look at it in terms of like, all right, we've basically fucked over this guy for like 80 years of comic publishing, and all of this time that he's been trying to like integrate mutants into society, it hasn't worked. So like eventually he would just say fuck it, right? Like
Yeah.
eventually he would just do that. And I do like how like basically they don't do it violently. They don't say like we're taking over everybody. They're like, hey, mutants can just come over here and also like recognize us as a nation and we'll cure all your diseases.
Yeah.
It's like that's
what is it, stick or the carrot?
yeah.
I gotta say, living 4 years, not super compelling.
Yeah,
One
but
of
you
living
can,
5
you can
extra
live-
years.
You can get
Yeah.
that multiple times. You got to be
Yeah.
able to. It's
So-
like a booster shot.
I
I was like, you could make it to 9.
Oh,
you
it's
could
a
make
vaccine. I'm out.
So that is actually where I think this comic I agree with y'all. And that's I think that's the thing that this does best and this
Yeah.
era does best is it's like it reevaluates Magneto. Because I really do think that like the reading of Magneto in the 60s
And
like,
Apocalypse,
Yeah.
I think the way that people
whom I know nothing about.
I think the way that like if you're looking at like comic books as like if you're taking a view of like they come out of the era that they're from and they're reacting to the events of that era, then like civil rights movement, the X-Men argument is like this is good positive societal change, which is peaceful and cooperative, and then this is bad societal change.
You would think that. Except Magneto often was in charge of a group called the League of Evil Mutants.
that's yeah.
no,
that's
no.
the-
That's my point.
Someone
is that,
had
like,
to run them.
I know. It's not like it was like, this is my more edgy way of justice. He was like, I'll turn
but that's-
all
no,
the
that's what it-
X-Men into
like,
babies.
That's my point. Is like it's making a very simplistic argument about change, right?
It was just like one Malcolm X is evil.
That's
And-
that's my point. Is like the argument. Like again, if we're gonna make the comparison of Magneto to Malcolm X and MLK to Charles Xavier, it's basically saying like, well, the only one worth paying attention to is Malcolm X
I know.
or MLK, and then this is like saying, well, I don't know. Maybe we've been writing Magneto wrong because he actually has a fucking point, and I think that like. It's a comic that works well for our age, and I think it's a reevaluation that is necessary.
And
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 like,
also
if we're talking about Malcolm X, a lot of his beliefs and stances changed as he aged.
Yeah, and not
he
only
was never a supervillain.
He wasn't just like statically.
I
Like, we
do
need to
think it
fight
would have been
back.
funny if Malcolm X somewhere had on a piece of paper like turned Martin Luther King Jr.
Into
and
a
his
baby.
followers into babies.
No,
And then shoot nukes at the White
Yeah,
House.
and then throw nukes at White House.
that's why that reading has always been like, I think that reading is valid because it's like it's basic. I mean, it's about the civil rights movement, the X-Men. As much as they say it's its own thing, it's clearly
Stan
about
Lee has said on paper or multiple times like that's black rights.
And I think
Did the X in Malcolm X stand for X-Men?
I think so.
Malcolm X. No, but
he was just waiting. He was sitting and like looking in the mirror in his underwear the whole time, going like hoping he would get mutant powers.
Trying to get the claws.
Yeah,
Like Professor X's middle name was Malcolm.
Yeah. My point
In
is
the middle.
Yeah.
Malcolm in the middle.
My point is like, there's a very they took the read that's like basically what the FBI wanted to portray Malcolm as, which is like, I'm just evil and violent, but maybe maybe like people do really hate us. And then you're taking the read which is closer now, which is like, we should be able to defend ourselves. We should have our own culture. We should have our own legitimate power. We should have our own institutions.
Our own simplistic language.
our own language with you couldn't do with the decoder.
Imagine something almost as complicated as Esperanto.
Yeah, which like, I mean, like unironically, that is what's wild. Everyone's like, Malcolm X is the violent guy, but he's never ever advocated for like storming the Capitol. Everything he says is like,
Whoa. That's a false equivalence.
yeah. Everything he says in his speeches is like, yeah, we should be able to defend ourselves and we should have the capacity to do it because people want us dead. And finally, like, in a way, they've taken these two opposites and just kind of pushed them together, which I think is really fun.
Well, what I also like is that inherently you can't have Krakoa if you don't have Charles teaming up with Magneto, because the Charles kind of coming to the realization that it's like, hey, you need to have the ability to defend yourself and also have like a society that is built around you and protects the people that like you care about, because there's been clear showings that like consistently when they can beat mutants down, they will beat mutants down. So we need to have our own separate society that can defend itself and can look out for our own self-interests. You can't have that if you don't have like that Magneto side, but also Magneto running the League of Evil Mutants needs to have Charles to be like, hey, we need to like make this a society.
Branding.
Like let's make this something where it does try to integrate into the wider world. We're not just going to try to like float Krakoa up and try to bomb the White House every day. It's like, let's try to make this into something where like obviously mutants are separated from people, but they are still like widely
Equal.
accepted. Yeah,
Also,
they're
once
equal.
I have a question for you guys who've read more of this series than I have. It's like, what happens? Why should anyone care about this story? Because like from what I read, there are no consequences for anything.
Yeah.
The
Imagine
problem,
if you didn't read the second half of a book.
No,
Well,
that's
I'm
no. But
asking what happens.
No, I
later
will say
because
that-
like I read the 6 comics and I was like,
to sell you on the
why?
rest of it, the idea of building a nation is not as simple as like, all right, we all share the same general goals.
It is
Let's
very
do that.
iterative, yes.
Yeah, and it's what?
Iterative.
Oh yeah. It's like you have to have like, okay, like what problems arise when you have this many, like obviously you have like Exile and Apocalypse on the same board as like Charles Xavier and Kitty Pryde. Like you have these groups of people who are like kind of ideologically opposed, and like how do you like build a nation out of that? That's kind of the idea. And then also there's just a bunch of believe it or not, Mr. Sinister is not up to any good. and so it just that causes problems.
He's
later
like
down
the
line.
Joker, like Mr. Joker Sinister.
Yeah.
What's
like I know that Mr. Sinister makes the Moira McTaggart machine.
Yeah, the
That's
Moira
not important.
engine.
Sorry for being rude to you, Trip. The answer to your question is this is important so that the human race doesn't go extinct when AI, becomes an mogging Ouroboros of power.
But I guess like my biggest complaint, and this is about superhero comics in general, is they'll just do the Scarlet Witch thing and reset the universe once the story reaches its conclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
Well, they have to. Well,
if-
no,
with
no,
knowing
that's
that
the Phoenix.
But
It's the Phoenix
I
in the
will
White Hot
say
Room.
from
the Phoenix in
from
the
my
White Hot Room
perspective,
and
It
the
doesn't
Scarlet
end that way, though.
Enchantress,
Yeah.
but
It ends in an interesting way.
yeah.
It ends in an interesting way.
I think so.
Okay.
And
They don't-
what I like about this is like I think
I thought it
This arc ends in an interesting way.
the
I thought
like
it was
they
intriguing.
even-
I don't know
yeah.
where it goes on from here, and I
goes-
probably won't read on
Don't. It
from
gets
here.
so much worse. This is the peak.
But
they
it was
don't-
like, and it set it up for like a beautiful. I don't want to know what happens next.
what I think is interesting is like I think the I guess the politics behind building a nation, the infighting that comes around that, and also like the external like forces that like try to break down a nation that's entirely comprised of mutants is like an interesting dynamic. So like even if it goes and is like, and after like 2 years, like they did, it was like 2 or 3 years that they managed to keep this a status quo, which is like
Yeah.
impressive for
Which is kinda
comics.
cool.
That's basically like an eternity. It's like,
Yeah.
I think that overall, like you can have something like that only last a little while, but you can still tell like interesting stories through the exploration of like, all right, they built up this like, they built up like this nation. What does that mean in the context of the wider Marvel world, and how
also,
would they
like,
respond to that?
How can Krakoa be threatened? It exists. My understanding is it exists in between space.
So
This is
It's on the planet Earth.
But they literally say that it exists in between space.
It's not like in the ether.
Yeah, I mean, like
but
you're
I mean,
in between
everything
space right now.
exists in between space.
Right, but I mean like in the same way that the Dominions exist between space and time, Krakoa
No.
is like
No.
hyperdimensional
Like, you could
space.
go
Krakoa is
there.
like it's a physical
It's a
location.
physical location.
Yeah, you could like
Okay.
go there if you really wanted to.
It's like-
You don't-
I
but
thought
don't-
you couldn't go
you,
there. I
You don't.
thought
want-
that's why
you,
you had to-
it- no,
you
it's
had to
because you don't
very-
want to that hard.
It's in
'cause You
Cuba.
didn't try that hard.
It's very.
I saw
hard.
that you tried to go there, and then you just like didn't really try that hard.
Yeah, I would say-
I saw that you thought that you tried that hard, but like you just didn't.
So,
like
if you want an answer about like how Krakoa could be challenged, I think the reality is like, so when you think of the X-Men, think of like the X-Men traditionally have worked with the Avengers, they've worked with the Fantastic Four, they've worked with Shield, but they fought against Apocalypse, they fought against Mr. Sinister, and in the Krakoan era, those villains it's basically like mutants become, I mean, they become their own nation, but all those other things that are super powered, in a sense, they take a stance that's, like, well, Krakoa looks like it could be a threat, right? Like you now have the Fantastic Four as a potential enemy. You have like the gods as a potential enemy. You have all Sentinels. I mean, you have all technology as a potential enemy.
would you want to get on the wrong side of Ben Grimm?
I don't know. I think I could take him.
You
Probably could.
Though I think that like your greater point about the return to status quo is accurate because like I think that this is a great example of, as is true with most comics in the DC and Marvel universe, it's all about the journey because
That's the problem with
destiny.
comics in general.
It is. It is a comic. It's a comic issue. Though I will say that it also gives them amazing staying power and these things that are like for example, I love Invincible. It's my favorite comic. But like,
Like, let's imagine Invincible if Cecil had a guy who could create magic eggs and just reborn anybody who died, and they're exactly the same as they were when they died.
No.
So all of like the personal
only make
investment
one
that
of them.
goes into these characters from like decades of writing, right? Like if Wolverine dies and then they just bring him back 3 pages later, there's no tension in that moment.
but
so
they
like
already
even
do
if
that.
we want to like
Inherently-
if we want to even lean into the like sacrifice for the better good of a nation, like we have to be willing.
I
to
think
make
we can talk about
sacrifice.
that right now because in Krakoa there is like a system by which they can bring back pretty much any mutant. So any mutant that dies, they can
But just once
with
for
gold-
some reason.
No.
I don't know,
It's-
forever.
It's forever.
Right, but they couldn't do like 2 Wolverines for some reason, or they won't
They could.
They could, it would
Right,
just
but they
get
don't.
weird. It would get weird with social security.
because they have morals.
I think at one
Yeah,
point,
that is
in
true.
the X-Men comics,
Which
Beast
sucks.
Beast makes a company of clones of himself, which then start to turn on him, so he has to kill them all.
The current Beast, in the
Beast with
Marvel,
two backs.
the current Beast in the Marvel universe, Beast
Is straight
really
evil.
fucks up. No, he really fucks up in this to the point that like they basically put his brain in a jar, and the current Beast is a clone of Beast from the 80s.
That's
Because
awesome.
they're like he got way too evil. Like the long and short of it is he overthrew a government and completely he basically poisoned an entire group of people with like weird plant life to turn them into like a computer. And so they're like
Just
you
like
can't-
reading the bringing people back, there are so many ways that I would have preferred that they do that. Where they bring them back, but they're not quite the same.
So
the
Trip-
only person who says that anything has changed is Charles Xavier, who's like, it's only part of me dies every time they do.
Trip, the things you're talking about tension is the way this is supposed to be read is every chapter is this like utopia being born, and the other next chapter is showing how the X-Men have all died.
Yeah. The other chapter is basically
Showing how they lose.
Well, it's showing
That
how
makes
like
it more interesting.
It is.
Oh wait,
yeah.
no, I read there's a Moira McTaggart chapter.
No, but
No,
like,
there's 6
So
of them.
the issue, what happened? Like there is the Moira McTaggart chapter, which is House of X, but the way that it interweaves is the other set of stories is told in 3 timelines: 10 years from now, 100 years from now, and 1,000 years from now.
That makes sense.
So-
They're saying like a month from this day.
Yeah, right. So like,
Will you play the trip sound, please?
so the other, the other story is basically showing that like, which I actually think is like there are a few arguments I think that this is making in an interesting way. One is like, maybe us creating massive nation states is just gonna, make other people fear us and like create technology we don't understand that will be our downfall, which I think based on the state of the world is a pretty good argument.
Yeah,
I
pretty
think
good read.
I think it's a pretty accurate thing. I also think this is the first X-Men comic where they've incorporated the Shi'ar, and they've incorporated in a way that doesn't just.
I hate them.
I do, but I think that this is the first time I've read it where I'm like, this doesn't just sap from the comic.
Disagree.
And I also think it's the first one. X-Men is famous for going to the future and going to the past. This is the first time I've read it, and I'm not just like bored.
Yeah, and
I like what they do in the future. It's kind of weird, but I like it.
Hearing that the chapters are split up between being born and then this is the X-Men dying, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it's like, how do we get here?
That leads into like creating tension to be like, how do we,
Yeah, you should
how do we
finish
get
it.
there?
It was fun.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. That was my. That
And
was
there's,
what I was like the most unhappy about.
Yeah,
it.
Also-
you see the rebirth, but you realize that in the end, like they all die.
Also,
it's just X-Men
imagine-
and Zorn.
Imagine it perfectly
the man with the
assuaged-
star in his head.
Badass.
Also, imagine it perfectly assuaged all of your concerns about the comic, and it wasn't something that also added more questions. It
Yeah,
also,
it actually-
also made you not necessarily jive with it. Imagine
thought it was well
like
written.
perfect.
I from what I heard earlier, that's not true. You guys made it sound very confusing.
It is.
It is confusing, but
There
it
are
was,
parts there.
It was
It's
also
cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's what I want the X-Men to be. There were no like, oh, does Scott love me?
Yeah.
Gene.
Oh, and the melodrama
Yeah,
in a pleasant
no,
way.
Right.
Like I miss
There-
the melodrama though. That was my
No.
favorite part. It was like,
No,
what human stories are they telling if the melodrama is
the good
absent?
ones.
Well,
There are no
Ones without
if we
Jubilee.
take the romance out of the last X-Men we read, it's just like guys running around space and fucking around with giant
Yeah, it was
robots.
terrible.
I mean, I think
Yeah, it was bad.
I think the human story here is about like what oppressed people do in face of extinction.
Yeah.
Right. This is about like what drives people to break away and form their own nation. Right. Like what forces lead to that. So when I read this, I think about like, I mean, I hate that they go for the ambassador space in Israel. That sucks, right? They go the Krakoa, the ambassadors that come, they go at the Jerusalem embassy. I hate that.
Why do you hate that?
Really, because I think that like I think that Israel is not a good example of like.
Oh, you're saying that they're saying that they're Israel in this.
Yeah,
I think
like
they're
trying to
drawing a
replicate
pretty
Israel.
clear line, and I think
makes
that
sense.
like.
I didn't think about
And
that.
like
but
the
And I
when
think-
we talk about
No,
the
but why-
your reading
did
of
you-
it too, of like an oppressed people creating their own nation state, like it can't happen without support of other world superpowers, which is what we're seeing right now.
Unless you have superpowers.
Unless
Yeah.
you have
Well, why- did you
superpowers.
miss that
But even
part?
like even then, like Krakoa should still be threatened.
Did
Which
you
I
miss that
believe you guys
panel
are saying
where
it is.
Yeah,
they were
but
like,
in the same way that everything is threatened by AI.
but it's like, did you see that panel where they were like, here, a gift for you, and it was a bunch of flowers, but it was a big bomb. It was a big cartoon bomb, and then it blew up in their face.
And then you see the spy versus spy, the white spy.
Yeah, the white spy is
slinking
Israel.
away.
Yeah,
Maybe it was a
Blown up by a bomb,
Palestine
too.
asset.
I don't think it is.
I mean, you don't know.
I think based on
Show me a place in Israel that isn't Palestine, and we'll talk about it.
there is no place in Israel. That's
There you go.
Palestine.
So it was
But,
Palestinian.
but that's a good argument. You're right. But my point is, like, I think if you're making the argument about oppressed people, you should have picked a place. You should have made it in like Vietnam or like
Palestine.
First draft was all about the Uyghurs.
yeah.
But no one knew how to pronounce it.
It's
Everyone
more
said, "Oh, we
paper.
can't say that." It's like,
No.
Hui Uyghur?
No, I hate
So
that.
I think I understand that complaint because it's something where it's like you basically have a person who's like, these are like you have this concept of like oppressed people, but then there's nothing that's more evident that it's like you and I are on different wavelengths of what like oppressed people are than like showing you that, because he's almost saying like Krakoa is like, oh, it's like Israel 2.0 kind of like, that's like what they did and now we're trying to do it again.
Yeah.
And it's
It
like
was it should not have been
yeah, I agree.
included.
And I think that like it also, this is an issue with comics in general. There's an issue where in the 80s where the Hulk goes to the Promised Land and Sabra, the Mossad agent, is like basically like an Arab boy gets killed, and the Hulk is like, you know, you did this basically, and Sabra's like, it took a monster to make me see this boy as human. And it's like, that's such an amazing self-own, but like, I guess what I'm getting at is I just think that like I don't think that like
It's a clunky
it's
metaphor.
a clunky metaphor, like obvious, and like they're trying to tie it with Magneto being Jewish as well. I think that's part of it. I don't know.
Him being
hot-
Jewish is enough.
I'm
Yeah,
really
also hot take. I don't think the Hulk should smash in either Israel or Palestine.
No.
I think there's a little too much going on there for the Hulk to go over.
When you said Sabra, I thought the Hulk was just going to go eat a bunch of hummus.
yeah.
I
Well,
love
he was going to
hummus.
smash a
It's
whole thing
so
of hummus.
well, I don't know if you guys know
He's
this,
just smashing hummus.
but Sabra, there was a massacre of Palestinians called the Sabra massacre. So naming a character Sabra is already pretty insulting.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm getting at is like, I like when comics comment on politics. I just like when it's not stupid, you
Or
know?
like
Like I
when
liked
they-
what Animal Man did with apartheid in South Africa.
Yeah.
I think there are situations that you can make that are clear cut of like, you know, like
Does this comic move closer to criticism?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Professor X. I mean, it criticism of nation states as a whole.
Okay.
I
like-
think that is
From what I had read, it was like kind of teetering on the line.
Oh yes, it moves.
I was like, this is obviously moving towards criticizing
Yeah, it's-
fascism, like authoritarianism in nation state.
And like the allure of like a charismatic leader is another
Yeah.
thing
Right,
that I
and because
appreciate.
I
The allure of,
remember
like-
the one line that's like don't fear death, like everyone remembers the founders of a nation.
Yeah.
Which is like the most fascist thing I've
yeah,
ever
I
seen.
know.
intentionally so.
yeah.
right.
I actually that's where I think this comic is sort of strong
Completely agree.
I agree.
because like you're putting X-Men in a new context, which is like that X-Men have always been a transnational force that fights evil wherever it exists and
Because
fights
they're
for the
trans.
yeah,
and fights
Like
for the
Wolfsbane.
rights and
Thank you.
and fights for the rights of like all people everywhere
And to
now
party.
yeah, and then you have that like that really wild moment where like I thought this was a really cool moment at the beginning when Sabretooth gets captured and you know, Scott comes and they're like, hey Scott, you know, you're an X-Men, you're a good guy. And they're like, oh yeah, have you heard of amnesty? And they're like, well, Sabretooth just killed a lot of people. After the amnesty happened, you know, maybe that's not fair that he just gets to like be free. And then Scott's like, yeah, we'll deal with it.
We'll see you in court.
And basically, and like he walks out, and it's like
Yeah.
such a chilling view of Scott that you haven't seen before. Scott, this guy who's usually like a paragon of like, I believe in Charles's dream.
I will say, by this point in the comics, he has strayed very far from the path.
Oh yeah,
I just
different character.
I only brought up that like criticism of the eggs birthing people again because like in those
It's fair.
circumstances you need like normally you hoist public opinion up on the shoulders of martyrs.
yeah.
Like look at the sacrifices that your fellow countrymen have made for you.
I would also-
Are you really going to allow their sacrifice to go unfinished?
I think that's probably my least favorite part of the Krakoa era.
Yeah, the
is the fact that
immortality,
all
you don't really need
all
it.
like mutants are immortal, and it's like okay, like you didn't need that. You just needed like a nation state, and then they're founding that.
And you know the other wild thing to me, this is maybe one of my least favorite parts, is when they have to take down Mother Mold, and they're like, which of our hyper powerful Omega mutants do we send down to take Mother Mold out?
Yeah.
be
Yes.
Pretty scrappy.
Wolverine!
Yeah.
Scrappy.
Exact same issue I had last X-Men.
Cyclops!
Like, who are we
Yeah.
going to send
Low.
to fight the Sentinels?
The
This
F
guy
tier.
with 9-inch claws.
Yeah.
Not the guy who has a star for a
And they're
brain.
all-
It didn't make sense.
They're all dying slowly, and I was like, yeah, dude, you sent in the
Right.
fucking practice squad.
Yeah.
who was
You
the
sent the
spiky girl?
teleporter?
Who was that spiky lady? What's her power?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know who she was.
Cyclops is
wasn't
the
she-
only one on the
No.
team that makes sense.
I think it
and
was
it's
the
silly.
I thought about it since then, and I think it's because it's harkening back to that's a lot of
original
Claremont's
team, yeah.
Claremont's X-Men team, and so when they're all dying and rebirthed, it's like a symbolic old era, new era, literal rebirth.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
I also,
still, it's
I-
awkward
I-
because you're like, they're like, this is the most important mission.
it's
That
Ever.
if this is critical.
And
It's a set
think about
piece,
the balls it would take to sacrifice the original team, right?
Yeah, but, like, what
and
if
be
you
like,
had-
this we're building on the sacrifice of these guys.
Yeah,
That would
They
be
have an
good.
impenetrable ship from Shi'ar, which I fucking hate.
Yeah.
Manufacture. Why didn't they just shoot a fucking Shi'ar bomb into?
They have
Why didn't
human
they just
beings
take
who
that ship-
sneeze bombs, Gray?
Why didn't
Why
they
didn't
just
they
take
send
that
the
ship
guy
and-
who creates black holes when he shits?
why didn't they send Magneto, the guy who can literally
Right, yes,
control
every
metal.
magnetic fields?
Right, yes.
Well, they have an indestructible Shi'ar ship. Why didn't they just like put a brick on the gas and then just say like,
just push
go-
it into the sun.
Oh,
Oh,
like the Force
Gravity.
Awakens.
yeah, like the Force Awakens. Just
Yeah.
make it.
I was reading it the first time, and I was like, it was like I saw them all die one by. They immediately all split up too.
I'll
They're
go
like,
this
let's go to each. We'll all go to a different part
Right.
of Mother Mold. And I was like, what?
I think that like it's for a set piece.
For sure.
I think the set piece is the scene where Charles X is doing this.
And he's like,
oh, I'm
Ooh.
not gay.
Me, my X-Men.
which
And
is it was a that was that thing.
I
That
love-
moment worked well because it wasn't like warming in the way it traditionally is when
Yeah.
you see him.
Yeah.
and it's
It
all-
was like a little sinister.
and that's
like,
why I think that that's so good because it's showing like this is a Charles that sees the X-Men as soldiers of a nation.
Yeah.
You know,
When he says "my X-Men," he refers to them as like tools in his
Yeah.
arsenal,
Yeah.
as opposed to being like
You know, his
little guys
fucking
that he
kids,
might
right?
he might
Yeah.
kiss. I don't know.
yeah, he's not like right. He's not like these are my students. He's like these are my
pawns.
my spec ops
Yeah.
that I am willing to let die, and then I'll create a clone of them, which like there's
I was
that.
wondering about
But then
that.
they're-
I was like,
they're-
these fucking are they clones?
And
But
that-
then there are no consequences for that because he just uses Cerebro to put all their memories back.
Yeah, but I
So
mean,
they're
it's
like,
Cerebro.
exactly replicating
Yeah.
them.
yeah,
Cerebro
yeah,
stuff.
but it's
But there's always
our consciousness. Does their consciousness die?
there is
You know?
that argument that's like
Think,
always.
therefore I am.
Well, there is that argument always with clones and teleporters that like when you destroy
Yeah.
the original
Yeah.
copy,
The ship of
Yeah.
Theseus,
you know.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, where you're like, is this something that is now
It's
a
the
continuation
Prestige.
of a 30-year-old, or is this a 2-second?
What I find
It is the
funny,
Prestige.
what I
Yeah.
find funny too, is like so like in real life, that is a question without an answer. In the Marvel universe, like there are just like souls that like we could know. We could be like, is that the same guy? Did
Yes,
you, like,
that is true.
Did you like swap over there, or is that like a different guy and you like actually super duper died there?
I'm really glad they didn't answer it.
Yeah.
It would have been so bad if they had been like, "We have a mutant who can detect souls."
Just bring him here.
We have,
We
to
have
get to
10,000
Shi'ar.
Scott Summers.
That's
No,
actual Scott.
They would have done something stupid where they're like, because with Gold Ball, they were like, no, his gold balls were eggs and we used
I
them.
love
and then,
that. For a long
no,
time, he was just nobody, right?
I would have liked it if they were just like, and Jubilee, the fireworks girl, that's actually souls. And you gotta
Right.
bring them and put them back into
Strands of explosive DNA.
What do you think Beak's hairs do? Oh, they gather souls that he can put it back into the
no,
body.
fuck that. They're not going to give Beak that kind of power.
Beak is a literal demon.
Beak
Spawn of
saves the
Satan.
multiverse. Put some respect on that
Fucking
name.
gold
He saved the
ball.
multiverse.
In Exiles.
What,
Yeah.
what did he do? Like frighten it?
No, he made friends.
Okay.
There's Hyperion, which is evil Superman, and he was bald and white supremacist,
Yep.
and he was gonna destroy the entire multiverse. And then Beak went to 2 other universes and like became buddies with 2 other Hyperions that were like good guys. And then he
Like
then he-
Elon Musk.
And then he banged
pretty
the
much.
evil Hyperion's wife.
Yeah.
Right in front of him.
no, they
With
let
Jeff
him.
Bezos versus Elon Musk.
It's a little like that, or except for Mark Zuckerberg's in there too,
Nice.
and one of them knows jujitsu.
He likes to grill.
and he's got glasses on.
And he's got Baby Ray's sauce. Man, I hate it. What I hate is billionaires spend so much money to make themselves seem cool, and it fucking works. You know.
Sometimes it does.
I mean,
Well, it
not
works.
on us,
Like-
but I'm saying like go to a.
Their media campaigns
Go
are
to
effective.
Any
There-
Zuckers here?
I mean, obviously it's terrible, but like,
I'd do that.
for example,
NDA.
Zuckerberg paid T-Pain and recorded a T-Pain song that he then sang for his wife at her birthday party, and what is one of the most cringiest and clear campaigns to make him seem like a cool, normal guy. And then you go to his Instagram, and all the comments are like, well, I guess Zuck got a soul, right? Like, I guess he's not a robot anymore. He's learned to be human.
Was it Zuck gonna give it to you?
That would be better. But my point is like, I guess my point is just propaganda works, and it is sad. Yeah.
My favorite though is when Zuckerberg was on. I've only seen the clip of Theo Von's podcast because I'm never gonna watch fucking comedian podcast.
I hate Theo Von.
But I love the clip where he's like, "So you drink coffee?" And Mark Zuckerberg's like, "No. I mean, sometimes when I'm on vacation, I'll have a cup."
Yeah.
I was watching that. I was like, "Who the?"
Well, also it's like it's so funny that like somehow suddenly he became like guy with broccoli hair and gold chain
Yeah.
and like cool stuff, and it's like some guy just came in and like I just imagine like a Don Draper guy, and he's like,
do we
"This
make
is
this
you
up
right
cool?"
now," and then he like turns around the board, and it's like that's just how it feels. Where I'm like, this is so like calculated and shitty.
Guys. Brought to you by Facebook.
Brought to you by Facebook.
Meta.
Meta.
No, Facebook. We're creating our own thing. We're not part of Meta anymore. We're creating a Facebook nation.
There's been
Nation of
on
Facebook.
and whenever you
Broadcasting on all your
you
social
delete
media
your
feeds.
account, a new account arises.
account
An
arises.
AI of you.
The exact same posts. And also, this Facebook nation is located in a space between spaces, a server that doesn't exist.
Meta,
Our
we love
server is
to grill.
located in a dominion.
Called the
Dominion.
intranet.
The intranet.
To me, my friends.
That's a poke.
Of whom I have none.
I liked that Wolverine's always around to the end in all
Me
of.
too.
I love it. I love.
Without
know-
being shitty, like Gene.
Yeah, he was always like, fucking. When he said like when he kills Moira at the end, he's like-
Multiple times. He's
she was like, "It's what
this
you
is
do."
what I do.
And I was like, "Oh, that's actually a
Yeah.
pretty sweet line. That is
Yeah.
what he does."
I
Like
just-
he doesn't like he's not going to be the guy who's going to defeat the god villain, but like
Yeah.
he's by your side till the end.
It's
like
a
that's
cool
what he
Lies.
does.
He's
Yeah.
like,
he's just the survivor.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like that's why I think his character stuck around for so long and has like as much pulling power as Superman, because he's not a dude that punches planets. He's
Yeah.
like a guy that's
He could
and
punch a
he's
planet.
He's scrappy.
he's not
Yeah,
like a
he's
guy that will
scrappy.
knock them out of the way, but
no.
even this scrappy, like he's
4
willing.
holes.
He's willing to bleed, and you can see him bleed.
Yeah, but it's also like not that big of a deal to him.
Yeah, he's
he does,
tough.
He does
Yeah, if he
regrow.
gets shot,
those.
it grows back like immediately.
Yeah, but that's what I like about it. Is like you see him with half his face burned off, and you're like, oh, he feels that.
But killing people isn't great for him. He's not like, I just like killing people.
He's not. He would prefer not to kill. I think
But he's a killer.
But
Speaking
like
of-
that's what he says.
Speaking of, this is my.
He's not a killer, but don't push him.
One of my favorite moments
He's
is
like
when
me.
the first law of Krakoa is like kill no man human, And like I was like, all right, cool. It seems a little weird that that's the hill we're gonna die on. And the first thing they do with their first criminal that they've convicted is throw him into a black abyss.
Well, that's like the idea behind like
That
it's
was
like
a
kill
thing.
no human because like you can't kill a mutant at this point. Like killing a mutant isn't like a crime. It's like
It
like
won't work.
It's like really annoying. It's like it's gonna fuck up your whole day. It's gonna be like a really big hassle in order to get your clothes back. You
Yeah.
probably tore.
Got to
It's like-
resurrect you.
But like killing a man, like we're not gonna bother.
I
down with their
just
genomes.
liked how they were like, look, we have laws. We are a nation of justice.
There is
And they were like, into the hole!
Into the pain cube.
Throw him into the pain pit!
That's the fascist thing coming back.
It is.
Like
It is
another little
fascisty.
bit of fascism,
Right? It's like, this is our law. You will abide by it. And if you don't abide by it, you will be subjected
cube.
to infinite pain cube. Right?
I will say, so there is a what's it called? Like there's a mild conspiracy theory around why they have mutant resurrection, and it's because almost right after they invented the whole mutant resurrection idea, Kamala Khan, who is like the new Miss Marvel, she's like the Pakistani Miss Marvel that was the only good Inhuman that they made. They were like, once they got Fox the rights back from Fox for the X-Men, they were like, all right, we're done trying to make Inhumans seem cool. And they're like, yeah, but there's this one character who is technically still an Inhuman that we have around. And they're like, oh, we'll just make her a mutant. And so what they had to do is they killed her in one of her books, and then she resurrected at Krakoa, becoming a mutant. And so
kinda
that's
cool.
why they have the resurrection protocols there, is because they were like, no, actually you're like a full-time mutant, and we need to like show that. And so they had their cake and eat it too, with the death of Miss Marvel, followed immediately by she's back and she's better than ever as an X-Men, not some stupid Inhuman that no one cares about.
so Namor is a mutant?
Yeah.
He's a mutant, right?
I think he's just like a fish
nine-
guy.
I'm fairly
But not
certain.
Ben Grimm?
He's like an
Ben Grimm?
Ben Grimm? No, he was.
Ben Grimm.
He's just a guy from Brooklyn.
yeah.
Well, he's from. I mean,
He's from
Talk about a
Yancey
scrapper. He's a scrapper.
he's a scrapper.
You're right. Wolverine is
wait,
no longer the
he's-
scrappy character.
Yeah, he's come a long way from Yancey Street. You got to say that.
Yeah, that's true.
We did see, I think, the first time Ben Grimm has ever not been bodied immediately.
Yeah, that's true. Because he was just like, I'm
Yeah,
not.
no one touched him.
All my Thing fans out there, we got a W in this.
Right,
one.
right, honest-
We finally got one win for the good guys.
we got one win for the
Mask off, Ben Grimm.
Yeah. I think that like
I like what you're doing over there in Krakoa.
It's
Yeah.
the first fully grown adult he's ever beat up. Everybody else was just a teenager.
I mean, it's a silly distinction, but the Fantastic Four are technically not mutants because they got their powers through an accident.
Solar
in the, s-
energy.
In the s-
didn't solar radiation cause them to mutate?
yeah, in this.
By then, like definitionally,
but
they
in-
are mutants.
Well, in the
They're
same way
mutated.
that they're mutated in the same
is
way
it
that
mutated? Just doesn't that just mean someone
no,
who has
it
a
doesn't.
mutation?
No
M words.
It doesn't. A mutant is someone who has the X gene.
All right.
The X gene is something that you're born with.
I'm out of my depth.
So
here.
so Spider-Man, you're like, well, he's essentially a mutant, but no, because he got his mutation through getting bit by a spider. So like that's the big line, and most superheroes are either changed by some event, except for the mutants. And I mean, then there are a lot of people that are like, well, I'm a god, or I'm a external,
Or I'm a Hulk.
or I,
Wait, then why
Force.
is okay, right? Because Wolverine is now no longer just like a guy that they did experiments on.
Yeah, well-
he is a guy who was born with.
he was born
regenerative
with
powers.
He was born
he
with the bone
with
claws.
So you're born with the X gene, and then some people gain. So there's like a thing. You have the X gene, and sometimes it doesn't manifest, and it only manifests during moments of like
Extreme stress.
trauma or stress. And then you have other mutants that just express right away. You know,
That's how he survived the Weapon X trials. Everybody else,
Yeah.
a lot of people put him through, died, but he could heal on the
Except
fly.
for Sabretooth
Yeah.
and Omega Red.
Did Omega? Is he a Weapon X guy?
He was like the Russian equivalent of the Weapon X program.
yeah. So
Well, that's fun.
I know.
His weapon vodka.
He also had like these weird whips that like whip people and they like drains power from them.
Kind of cool.
that's kind of cool.
If you had one
I only
of those,
remember
you'd
that
use
because
it a lot.
we're talking about the X-Men '97. I watched it in when it came out, after those came out.
Dude.
Omega Red was all over those.
that's
in the original
Sweet.
X-Men.
Yeah.
Dude.
They should bring him back.
Omega, the X-Men 97, just a little podcast plug. That's like the best show that like the Disney universe has produced in a while.
It might be the best like Marvel thing to come out in years.
The only thing that I think is better is the Spider-Verse, and it's
Deadpool
which is
2.
Sony.
That's true. Yeah, you're
Or
right.
the new Deadpool movie, the new one. Deadpool and Wolverine.
No,
Yeah.
Deadpool. All right,
Because the stakes are the highest,
Deadpool and Wolverine.
making it the best.
It's a multiversal.
Deadpool and Wolverine has some of the coolest set pieces and some of the coolest fights. But as a movie, it just absolutely pales in comparison to Deadpool 2, which I think is the best live-action Marvel movie, other than the Captain America trilogy. For me, it's a tie between Civil War and The Winter Soldier. I think one is great, but I think The Winter Soldier and Civil War is really where it sings. And I think the failure of the greater MCU is that they didn't introduce serious ramifications for Civil War.
Yeah, it
I
didn't,
think the
yeah.
best scene in the MCU is at the end of Civil War when he and is that Civil War?
Yeah, when they're
he and
fighting.
Bucky are fighting Iron
That's
Man.
awesome.
The
They're
best
so
scene in all the
They're
Marvel movies.
they're
They're
fighting.
passing the
They're
shield
passing
back and
the
forth.
shield
back and
So
forth.
sick. And then
then
Bucky catches the punch with his robot arm.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
And then
Also-
at the end, they're like, "You got to leave that shield. It's not yours."
Yeah.
And he just drops the
Yeah.
fucking thing, and it's got the claws in it from Black Panther
Yeah.
earlier.
Also,
Oh,
such
so
a cool thing because it's like one of those movies where like the villain, the quote unquote villain, like being like Iron Man, like when he at the very end is like, I want to kill Bucky, it's for like the most understandable reason where it's like he just saw like him kill his mom.
Right.
On it's
He
like
killed
it doesn't-
both of them, didn't he?
Yeah,
Mom and Dad.
And he
Yeah.
literally says that. They're like, he didn't mean it, and Iron Man's like, he killed my mom.
It's like, yeah, that doesn't
There's
matter.
no-
It's and like everything makes sense from that point.
Yeah,
Like,
you're like, because at first you're like, I want cooler heads, but he's like, yeah. I just watched him kill my parents very brutally.
I'm going to Iron Man blast him. Like,
He's also
that's
like that's who Tony Stark is. You know, he's kind of a rash,
Narcissist.
He's a rash
narcissist. Yeah.
I think
Speaking of Africa, I have one complaint. So
Oh, you think Black Panther? Is that where you got to Africa?
oh, black people.
yes, yes, black people.
No.
I'm so upset about that. No,
Tell me about it.
I can see why it. I can see why it
Wild thing to say.
just getting.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. Huh?
why?
no.
Just why?
All right, calm down. That was tongue in cheek.
This is a woke podcast, Dad.
No, it's apolitical.
They're not. They're not going to let you on.
We've
They're not.
expressly been apolitical for the past.
They're not
hour.
going to let you on last podcast on the left.
I know.
I'm kidding. We have been very woke this.
It was a
hour.
zig. All right, here comes the zag.
Where's the Zag? All right, let's hear it.
I hate that when they were like the countries that rejected us. It was like Iran, North Korea, Wakanda, and then like Wakanda, we don't need your drugs. And then we're also protecting Zimbabwe. Why not every other African fucking nation? I mean, you're Wakanda. You're in Africa. Why don't you just represent fucking Africa? Like if
Instead of just the nation formerly known as Rhodesia,
right? Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah.
It's like there's other places. Wakanda, I've seen the
right.
suits you make,
And if you want
you
to
can
if
help
you,
out.
if you
Chad.
exclude South Africa, I get it.
That's a great example of like, I will say that
That's a pretty good zag, right?
That is a good Zag. And I also think that's a great example of why, like, if you're going to make your politics clear in a comic, if they're bad, I'll mock you, right?
Yeah.
Like,
or if they're confusing, I'll mock you.
like, I get that Iran and North Korea are not like amazing places to live, that they're dictatorships, but like, they're not comically villainous in the way that they'd be like, oh, this drug that saves everybody and is open to all humanity.
Yeah, we want none of that.
None
No
of that.
thanks. Yeah, that's
Like-
so funny. Especially with a place that's like, oh man, maybe we could get in tight with this emerging nation, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Like,
I just think that it's stupid, right? There are ways you can critique these nations without making them comically evil.
and you know, maybe it makes
Inept. Like Iranian leadership is they're
savvy.
there are criticisms to be made, but they have handled the situation unfolding currently very adeptly.
very well in a way that, like,
With a lot of restraint.
Yeah.
we would not that many people did not expect
Right.
them to demonstrate.
I actually think that, like, America's probably. I mean, I think American Israel's whole thing was like, we're just going to provoke a response so that we can hit
know.
harder. And then Iran was like, we're going to hit Israel, and we'll do some like. Not only will we warn the United States and we'll do some like symbolic attacks on U.S. bases, but that's as far as we're gonna go.
And they have the golden egg technology too, as far as so they have every Iranian is immortal, right?
Oh,
So
that's true. Yeah, that's the
they
tough
could be
nut to
coming back at
That's
us.
the tough nut to crack with them.
But
That's
they-
why they. But in all fairness, did you see that press conference where they were like, "Look, we've hit the buildings," and then you saw like the kind of rubble. It's like I think those were golden eggs at some point. And they're like, "No, that was both their nuclear technology and also all their golden eggs, so they can't revitalize anymore." Everyone's like,
we were targeting the golden egg facility.
Why do you
I
think the
think-
Shah is not wearing whatever it is? It's a Cerebra type headgear.
Also, I'd be like, yeah, dude, Wakanda, of course you're not going to
Yeah,
accept
whatever.
it
Don't high
because
road-
you already don't share your amazing tech with everybody.
I just
But except with Zimbabwe.
like Wakanda. I would.
Why is Zimbabwe catching strays?
I wouldn't
Yeah.
want Wakanda to show up to any UN meetings because they're just going to be like, we do not want to. It's like, yeah, I know, I know,
All
you
right.
don't want to do anything here.
Let me guess, abstain?
It's like look at him turning it down. You're like, it's the politic thing to do if you already have super drugs and you're
Yeah.
Wakanda. You're like, maybe I don't want to take the Palantir.
Also, they
from-
probably saw the fucking. What's it called? Like the fascist regime rising up out of Krakoa, and they were like,
Yeah,
well, I don't.
the position. What's wild?
a ring of power.
It's like a very reasonable position to have, which is like, oh, like all of these mutants are now like, we are a mutant nation of guys who can like fart out nuclear bombs.
And we're immortal.
You will obey. You will like listen to us and put us on your world stage, and we'll give you the carrot or else the stick. And like Wakanda's like, we don't fear your stick, so like we think this is pretty objectionable.
We will not take the carrot. you
Yeah.
know? That
Yeah.
makes sense. That would make sense.
Wakanda, their position to turn it down makes sense, right? They're like, we don't want you to have leverage over us. We already have our
Well,
own
it didn't
cool
say
fucking tech.
it didn't say why it was going to turn it down. It said that they didn't need it.
If it was
Yeah.
me,
Yeah, but
and
like
then it
that's
said, and these 3 countries are with Wakanda.
if it was more realistic, a lot more countries would have turned it down just because they know that.
They have inept leaders.
Well,
well, no, not
there
because
was
they have
mind
inept leaders,
control
but
involved.
because I know there was mind control.
Oh, yeah.
Emma
that's hard
Frost was
to-
like, "Oh, you did,
Yeah.
You
Oh,
owe me,
the France
you,
lady.
make me a governor." Blah,
I was
blah."
like, no.
like, I thought it
Makes
was
things
silly.
tough when you have
mind control.
a ton of mind control.
yeah.
It makes a lot of things tough.
I just
yeah.
think that like if you're gonna be political in a cartoon or not a cartoon, cartoons as well, media.
Sure.
you got to be
Especially
intentional.
often for teens.
Yeah, you got to be intentional about it.
If Scooby Doo gets political, you got to be.
Raw?
yeah,
Raggy.
and I don't. And I don't mean political in like everything's political. Like, right? Is Scooby Doo? All the villains are humans. They're all landowners.
herrings.
They're all rich. Scooby Doo, proletarian hero. But no, but I mean, like, if you're going to comment on world events,
Yeah.
you should have a clear position.
Especially geopolitical world events.
The
Right,
thing is,
Inherently
like, I think-
national.
Yeah,
I think the thing is they have a clear position. The big thing is like, I think I don't necessarily agree with their position.
It's
And
not
so
a nuance. You can't.
I would so much
it's
rather
29 pages.
I would so much rather read something where someone has like a clear position and well thought out politics that I don't necessarily agree with than like some guy who's like he like comes up with politics that don't make any sense because he doesn't want to think about like the
He's like,
geopolitical
Wakanda
Yeah,
and Iran.
I do remember
or
when
like
we read
everyone just agrees. Everyone agrees and everyone's very happy that all the mutants are
That's
there.
right.
It's
I
like
do remember the Animal Man when they were killing the dolphins. You're like, I mean, he's got a stance, but I fucking hate dolphins.
yeah.
I wish they killed more of them.
I mean, I do think that like no one. The only comic I've read that's done it better is Department of Truth, and that's because Department of Truth is like that's my whole
It's like
thing.
the main thesis.
My whole thing is I'm making political commentary, but I think Animal Man does it in a way that is different because it's like I am a superhero in a canon of other superheroes, and I'm going to use this to talk about politics.
Yeah.
I want the
And then
guy
at the
that wrote
very
the
end-
Animal Man to write an X-Men.
Old man, right?
Neil Gaiman.
Or and then at
Has
the
he?
very end of Animal
means
Man,
Grant
it turns
Morrison.
Into like, it turns into like commentary about the medium as a whole.
Yeah, he wrote the new X-Men, guys.
I know what
to
he
explain
did.
your joke.
Yeah, but
That's
like,
a little callback.
See last week's episode.
Yeah, Animal Man,
Ooh.
top notch. we should probably get into our favorite part.
Yes.
Or what time is it? Maybe.
I'd say we just rate it
think we
and do our
rate it.
favorite
Yeah,
part.
I think we
Yeah,
can.
you're right.
Let's rock and roll. We've been rolling for like an
bled
hour,
this goat to death.
30.
Yeah, I will. Because I want to, I'll include my favorite part as well.
Yeah, do it.
It's quick. I think that Jonathan Hickman has a lot of like marginalia and stuff in between issues.
Very
that is
Alan Moore-esque.
it's very Alan Moore. It's the thing that makes like Watchmen like next level. And I think that it really does a lot for this comic because it allows him to explain things that don't make sense in more depth. And also, it's so aesthetically consistent and awesome.
Those are different.
Yeah. I'm going to rate this. I'm always the guy using philosophers, and I want a new rating. So if you got any ideas, let me know in the comments. But for the sake of consistency, I'm going to rank this a Friedrich Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche claimed that he was an aristocrat of the human spirit. And he talked about the creation of the Übermensch, the next level of human evolution. Now, frankly, I think that Nietzsche is a fucking hack. But I think that, like, he produces some writing that's really beautiful and profound. And I think that, like, this has some of those same things. I think this is better than the shit Nietzsche's put out. You hear that, Jonathan Hickman? You're way better than Friedrich Nietzsche.
Aww.
But I think that in this comic, in a sense, all these mutants become aristocrats of the human spirit. They start to really view themselves as above and beyond humanity. And I think that, like, given the circumstances, it makes sense. They've spent so long trying to integrate that they changed to something else. I think on a number scale, I'm giving this an 8 out of 10.
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
4 out of 5.
A 4 out of 5. Or a 4.5 out of 6.
Actually, unironically, that was going to be my rating. The 4.5 out of 6 comes from the fact that I think this is like a fantastic foundation for what is an interesting exploration of the X-Men when they kind of like drop the pretense of being like Harry Potter, but for it's like, oh man, we need to make this like a school and like need to make like it like the little small action, and then they're like, no, we shit out nuclear bombs. Let's do like some real tangible like action, and then like coalescing all of their resources around like making the most secure and powerful nation. Not necessarily saying like that's the best thing in the world, but I think the writing chops to make it so it's like, oh, like if the X-Men were to make a nation and they were to do it like absolutely right, how would they do it? It's like if they wanted to make a nation for like all mutants, it's like, oh, I remember Krakoa. This was some weird like guy that we fought a while ago. And it's like making that concept, I think, is super cool and super fun to read about. And I like the execution and I love the art.
Nice. Same.
I don't have a read. I don't have go Trip. Go for me.
Thanks,
I don't have
Ego,
a
the Living Planet.
I don't have a reading.
I
yet.
only read half of what we read, so
I can go.
I have to abstain from rating.
For me,
Instance.
it was a chicken pot pie,
Ooh.
which is fucking delicious.
Yeah.
By any standard. Vegan, vegetarian, no one cares. It's delicious.
Absolutely. I'm really glad you liked it.
Yeah, it was not gay enough for me. I mean, you guys know.
Not many
gayer
things
the
are.
better.
I want like a JoJo level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, somewhere between that. You guys know I think that's too gay.
We know you.
Well,
Mr. Morality Police over
he
here.
thinks part 5 is too gay.
Yeah.
But he
Well-
thinks part 3 is just gay enough.
Yeah.
He's wrong on both counts.
It was fun. It was everything I wanted the last one to be. There were no histrionics between Jean and Logan and Cyclops. That's the worst of the X-Men to me. I thought this was an interesting story told well. It was a bit iterative, but I liked it.
I think like this might be a weird take, but as a teacher, I will give it a 90. Give it a 94. 94%. Good A. Especially compare. I'm not going to compare it to like Crime and Punishment, but compared to like other paradigm shifting Marvel events, which I often hate, You know, like Secret Invasion, Secret Wars. You know, this had like a point of view and a perspective that I found in like, you know, clever and at least like thought out. You know, and it was nice to see somebody take a risk. You know, like it's so much better than like before this. You know, there was an arc where like Scott Summers became part. He got the Phoenix Force, and then he, you know, everybody had to team up to take him down because he went crazy. And you're like, I don't want to read that. In fact, I want to not even think about it.
The worst part about those two is they would do that, and then like 6 months later, it would be the same. It would be like, oh, to me, my X-Men, and they'd be like flying around in the X-Jet, the Sex Jet.
And everybody would be cool with Scott again. They'd be like, yeah, we forgot that you almost killed everything that ever lived.
And like, what's nice about this is like you feel like they're putting 10 toes down on like making a new and interesting, and they think that there's enough storytelling potential that they're willing to be like, this is going to be like status quo moving forward.
Yeah. Commenting on that, I feel like this is like everything that I wished New X-Men would be.
Yeah.
Because like New X-Men it's a paradigm shift for the X-Men. But the things that I like about it are just concepts that he introduces. I think the execution is pretty mid to low mid. And I think this has great execution and great concepts, you know.
Don B, what do you guys think?
Oh.
Don't hit me. Don't hit me again.
I think I can. Did you stop recording?
Oh, no, we're good.
I think I can give it a rating. I think I'll give it a 4 out of 6, just from what I had read, because I do think that a lot of the ideas are there. I just missed the context for their execution. Plus, this is the beginning of a long 2-year arc.
Yeah, big.
I do hate that they were wearing those stupid outfits, though. The whole
The
time.
outfits are sick. Are you kidding
They're
me?
in Krakoa. I mean,
Oh yeah, that's fair. You
you could just wear like jeans.
I'd
or
be wearing
shorts.
this on Krakoa.
Yeah,
where
I
it's
would
like,
be
you know,
wearing
yeah.
a tank top and shorts.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's
To
probably
me, my
95.
X-Men, we're having a meeting.
To me, my X-Men, I'm wearing my fucking Hawaiian shirt.
Right.
And
if I was on the Quiet Council meeting, I would probably wear something nicer. But like on the average day, if they were like grabbing me, I'd
No,
be
you
wearing
look good.
this.
You look good.
I will, but
sir.
it would be like nice and like breathable.
Jeans,
Where it's like
leather jacket,
Sweatpants.
though, honestly,
either
Tear-offs.
tank, wife beater, optional.
I think it would be fucking awesome if
Cerebral
all the
helmet.
X-Men just dressed up in their regular costumes, but they just looked like sweaty dumps all the time.
I wish
because they're-
everybody was in their regular costume, but then Gambit was dressed like in '97 with like the crop top and the
It's like it's hot out here,
Who the hell is
machete.
this guy? And Gambit's like, name's Gambit.
now that
Tree.
now that I think about it, I actually think that like them being in suits all the time lends to the fascist imagery.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like one of the things that like is true in fascist regimes is like the normalization of military presence in
Dudes
all
wearing-
aspects
yeah.
of civilian
all
life
the time.
So I think the idea that like, and you know, it's similar and in some cases it makes sense, right? Like Zelensky is always in military fatigues, and his whole thing is like, well, while we're at war, you know, I'm only going to be in military fatigues. And in that instance, it makes sense. But also, like, every time, you know, Kim Jong-un is in public, he's fatigued out and dripped out. And it's like, yeah. So I think that, like, and it's different than other X-Men, right? Because in another X-Men, you always see, like, you know, them in normal clothes, and then occasionally they get suited up, and they'll joke about being suited up, you know?
Yeah.
All right, I have a favorite panel this week. I don't usually have one.
Ooh.
And then you guys can go. I hate to talk over everyone.
Do it.
It is the Pornhub To Me My Sex Men.
When they're all nude
Panel.
and, like, on their knees
Yes,
clawing to him.
yeah. They're like, oh, I'm born now. But
Yeah.
don't look at my nipples.
That
Yeah.
was fucking
And
sweet.
I did look.
We've got to
And then he
talk
said
about-
the only way to get your soul back is to suck my wiener because I can.
Which
I-
now works if
So-
you haven't noticed. I'm walking around again.
What are we reading next week?
Ooh.
I have an idea.
Okay, go for it.
Oh,
I wanted to read One Punch Man.
Okay.
I like that. I
That
like
would be
that.
a
Like,
good
we're the-
counterpoint, I think.
Yeah, where the first series of the season of the anime ends. So like,
Yes.
Once they
So up to the
introduce-
Boros,
Yeah,
I'll
after
look up
Boros.
the chapters for
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
so I think that would be
That's
fun.
great. Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah. Also, last thing before we go, I'm gonna rate comics on One Piece arc villains, and this
Ooh,
one,
alright.
this one was a Don Quixote do Flamingo, and I won't explain.
It's for the real ones.
You only have
don't
to watch
understand.
the
real one.
episodes to understand.
Yes, you only have to watch up to Dressrosa, which I think is episode 800.